In the beginning, the band The Spoons were into Genesis and Prog, and they sounded like it a little bit too. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Canada. Remember, if you want to see the entire interview, it's on the Rock History Canada channel. There's also a podcast, links in the description of this video. Also, there's 2 new projects that the Spoons have out, where other musicians tip their hat to their music, and also another great project from the band. Go to spoonsmusic.com. There'll be links in the description of this video. Here's Sandy Horne of the Spoons.
And someone wrote on there that there was in the early stages of the band, there was like a sort of progressive rock Genesis leaning, or who were the Genesis fans in the band?
Gordon and I.
Wow.
And Brett Wilkins, the original keyboard player. Yeah.
I've had a chance to talk to a few of those guys, and it's interesting, they're all clean now. And like Steve Hackett, I talked to like 5 times, and I said, Steve, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning where you're at. He said, well, we don't do that anymore.
Well, we really never did. So
really, you guys were always a pretty clean band?
Pretty much. I mean, there was occasional episodes and occasional band members that kind of went a little derailed, but never to the, degree of, jail and, that kind of thing, or hurt themselves terribly in the hospital or something like that. But our first band before Spoons, the very first band Gordon and I met in high school was a cover band called Impulse. And then we formed a band later called Trist, and Trist was the Genesis Prog Van de Graaff generator influence. So we were basically a basement band because our songs were 8-minute epic songs, and they time changed, and they were very interesting to the musician playing, but the average person only can appreciate and get the hooks for music to 3 or 4 to 5 chords, and then you start to lose them a little bit if you get too indulged. So it was more Tris was more like we were satisfying ourselves. And then the punk era started to kind of happen in the late 70s, early 80s. And we thought, okay, well, we need to get on something here because, the basement's getting a little boring, the 4 walls and so forth. So we took the best of our kibbles and bits from Trist and tried to formulate them in a different way than we had been writing, to a verse and a chorus and a bridge. Okay, that works. And that's how we started evolving. And that's our first album, Stick for Your Neighborhood. You can hear a lot of very strange, like Red Light, for example, only for athletes. I mean, we're changing time signature still. We still haven't said, okay, stay in the same time signature. So, that was an evolving album, our first album, but it still got appreciated, especially in the universities and colleges. We were #1 in the charts. And then when Nova Heart came out, that just flew us out the door.
I remember in radio at the time, I got at radio in '83, and I remember there was an urgency, especially when I was doing that show, but more than that, just being on the air. And you probably heard this, but the vibe was like, hey man, this is an up and coming band. Oh my God, they've been big in Ontario or Burlington or whatever, but this is it. And I remember you remember those moments as a broadcaster. I mean, Whitney Houston's album came out, they all gave us free copies, that kind of stuff. Tina Turner's comeback album. Private Dancer. There's always these, Glass Tiger was another one. Everyone would go, oh my God. But the Spoons had that for me. I remember a few of my cohorts had said that this band, this band goes back. They got the Prog leadings, man. And that's kind of nice to hear that, because we're jaded. It takes a lot for us as broadcasters to go, what? We're all frustrated musicians. We almost don't want to give people credit, but that's what the vibe was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was a very fun time. We didn't do necessarily anything on purpose. We were interested in being on the radio, but we weren't interested on being on the radio. We were in that kind of, to become mainstream, what will happen to us? There was that little bit of fear. But when we started working with John Punter and knowing he worked with Roxy Music and he worked with Japan, we were like, okay, this is our guy. He by accident got a demo tape of Nova Heart and Symmetry because he happened to be visiting Canada late October of 1981, and he was given a cassette, and he says, I want to produce these guys. So he came back at Christmas, and over New Year's we recorded that Nova Heart and Symmetry, and we thought Symmetry was going to be the song. And then John took the song to Montserrat, where he was recording with Nazareth, and he was mixing it while he had his downtime. And he came back and said, "Hey guys, I don't think it's Symmetry. I think it's Nova Heart." And we went, "Really?" We were kind of like, "Really?" But when we heard it, when he put all the pieces together, we did tracks and tracks and tracks, but we always heard it in bits and pieces, but never all the tracks together until he mixed it. And that's what happened. And then it started climbing the radios. We went from playing to 60 people to sell out bars to that summer doing 13,000 people at Ontario Place at the Forum. It was just like bang, bang, bang. And then the police picnic for 40,000 people. It was just like bam, 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 right out of the gate. It's like, what's happening? It was almost too fast because it almost frightened us,
With that, there's that old thing of listening to yourself, or like I'm going through we just moved here from Calgary to Moncton. I'm finding old journals, there's that thing of going, was that me? Not in a bad way. How did it feel for you to go back? Or, I mean, you're playing these songs anyway.
Yeah.
Is there a sense of you checking in with the old Sandy Horne? I mean,
it's to some degree, but every time we would go to write a new album, like we did Static and Transmission in 2011, and then we put out New Day, New World. So we've actually done 3 releases since 2019 in product. We went back and rediscovered, okay, how did we write that song? How did we put that together? How do we make that sound? But let's modernize it. So especially New Day, New World that came out in 2019, it actually has a theme. Like, it's not just an album of songs, it's a theme. They all roll into each other. They tell a story. And that's, back in the days like August and stuff, every one of our albums tells a story. They all stream together for a reason. It's not just meandering songs. So this is a good song. This is a good song. So people know it as a full album, not just as, I think back to the days of Supertramp and Genesis. You listen to the whole album and you know what the next song is coming, and you know what the next feeling is going to be. And we wanted to recreate that because I don't think the newer artists today understand that concept necessarily. And we wanted to make sure we do that.
Remember, links to all the new Spoons music in the description of this video. I want to thank Sandy. And if you want to see the entire interview, well, it's also in the links of this video. It's on this channel. And there's a podcast, and there'll be links for you there as well. Make sure you comment on our video, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Canada.